My presentation will be devoted to the Doctoral Training Center. Creation of Doctoral Training Center is a soul of our project. It's a central place. This is work package 3, and soon after the work package 2 devoted to training, we will started to create doctoral training centers at all partner countries' universities. But before writing the project, I made some analysis of existing doctoral training centers, and one of the first and maybe most important example of this training center, and was based for the design of application and description of work package 3. It was a project initiated by the Engineering and Physical Science Research Council of United Kingdom. And this council started with this project in 2013 in order to bring together diverse areas of expertise to train engineers and scientists with the skills, knowledge, and confidence to tackle today's evolving issues and future challenges. They also take into account to provide supportive and exciting environment for students, create new working cultures, build relationships between teams and in universities, and forge lasting links with industry. And it also, this project will very important for rising interdisciplinarity, internationalization of doctoral education. So starting from 2013, during more than 7 years, I think 7 years, this council created more than 150 different doctoral training centers, DTC, or sometimes they call centers for doctoral training. In more than 100 universities in the United Kingdom. So, typical students, PhD students in the United Kingdom have 3 years to complete their doctoral research under the guidance of academic supervisor or a small supervisory team. But each doctoral training centers which were opened at UK university, but also that DTC may be shared in between a few universities, like as inter-university doctoral training centers, was specially designed for 4-year doctoral training program, by the way, like in Russia, to a significant number of PhD students organized into cohorts. So it's not individual for individual education, but for the team of PhD students. And each center targets a specific area of research, and also emphasis on transferable skills training. Which is an important, and the idea about transferable skills or soft skills was taken from this example of from this experience on designing doctoral training center. And the model has been adopted by all 7 research council, because there are our colleague from United Kingdom, from Brennan University, they know that there is a few different research council in England. So what is the specific of doctoral training centers? Students are funded for 4 years, and doctoral programs include technical and transferable skills training, as well as research element. Many centers leverage additional studentship from other sources. For example, university funding, European Union funding, industrial funding, private funding, and etc. EPSRC funds centers under an umbrella term, Centers for Doctoral Training. So, and of course, most of the funding will be have been given to the university from this research council, and still there is a special application how to apply to creation of doctoral training centers. So you university have to demonstrate the necessity to create such a centers, and including educational aspects and financial aspects. So here I give you a concrete example of doctoral training center, which was organized at the University of Manchester. Later I mentioned why it's University of Manchester. It is a unique center for doctoral training run by special academics and working alongside more than 120 graphene researchers at the University of Manchester, and with partnership with Lancaster University. Funded by this council for 4-year course will enable students to develop knowledge and skills necessary to drive research and innovation in the field of nanomaterials in a future career of a student's career, and contributing to the pioneering research at Manchester and Lancaster University during PhD during the program for PhD students. And key point of the program for students, this program share in between two universities, is a focus on research in the science of graphene and double dimension materials and their wide range applications, 6 months training in fundamentals of double dimension materials and core research techniques, including 2 mini projects in a choice of labs, and 3.5-year research project in state-of-the-art interdisciplinary nanoscience laboratories. And also the key points of the program is enterprises training, industrial and or international experience. We are secondments of industrial and academic partners of the University of Manchester or University of Lancaster. So I took this example because at MIPT at the moment we have a center of photonics and double dimension materials, and we closely cooperate with University of Manchester because one of these centers, there are 2 centers of focusing on graphene, is leading by our alumni and Nobel Prizes, Professor Novoselov and Professor Game. So one of the idea and is to create the center, doctoral training center, also focusing on graphene and 2-dimensional materials, just for future cooperation with the centers existing at University of Manchester, and we also looking forward to create on the basis of this center, the center of wide international activity. So we will try to take into account the program which is existing at University of Manchester. You can see on the screen what they are doing in this sphere. And this is an example of professional doctor training center, which we take and we are going to develop. And among of our participants take part in this session, professor of this one of the laboratory focusing on nanoscience and photonics, Professor Dremov. So, and also one of the PhD students which will involve to the project, MODEST project, also will at the moment study nanoscience and working as one of the laboratory of this Center of Photonics and double dimension materials. The second example, which was taken into account for the development of the MODEST project, was example existing in Europe. This is a very famous digital doctoral school, which focusing on information technologies, which is called EIT, Digital Doctoral School. This doctoral school was created 3 or 4 years ago with this purpose to summarize efforts of different countries in Europe on digital technologies, and to give students of possibility of European Union to study at different countries, focusing on their specific of digital technologies in concrete countries, and defend their PhD theses at different universities involved to this digital doctoral school. They also, it was important to creating for the this doctoral school, creating awareness of the role of business in technology realization, offering students practical training and experience in a business context, because there are a lot of IT firms and enterprises involved of digital strategy development by European Union, and providing students with the experience of starting up a new ventures or new business activities. This after graduation, these doctors or doctoral students will be commercially aware ICT leaders who understand current and future challenges. It's one of the purpose of digital doctoral schools, as well the opportunities that this present to industry. And to achieve these goals, the ERIT Digital Doctoral Schools organize a special education that complement the ordinary doctoral studies of each candidate. And in particular, this doctoral training center, what is also important for the MODEST, has divided for doctoral training centers. There are 8 doctoral training centers. At the moment on the screen you see only 7. Budapest Doctoral Training Center, London Doctoral Training Center, Madrid Doctoral Training Center, Paris Doctoral Training Centers, Rennes Doctoral Training Center, Stockholm Doctoral Training Center, Trento Doctoral Training Center. And each of these centers provides students with a special program. So the central, the headquarter of the digital doctoral schools is located at Brussels. So, students of the EIT digital doctoral schools, they have training and also work in the doctoral training centers. Doctoral training centers provides a multidisciplinary and inspiring environment, aligning with the innovation focus area of EIT digital school. Also, doctoral students in the doctoral training center adhere to the general requirements of the EIT digital doctoral schools in ICT innovation. Each doctoral training center supports the doctoral students, their supervision, and the business representative participating in the mentoring of the doctoral students in cross-disciplinary and cross-organizational issue, and ensure that the doctoral students can work in an open and creative environment. Also, the DCT ensures that the business partner participates in the mentoring of each doctoral students. Furthermore, the Doctoral Training Center contributes to and facilitates the implementation of the EIT education required by the digital doctoral schools and works proactively to promote cross-node mobility. The role of the Doctoral Training Center is also to actively support doctoral students driving entrepreneurial efforts. Doctoral training center, how they organized. Each doctoral training center is organized by digital university or high education institutional partner that participated in the digital doctoral school. Digital doctoral schools are headed by a digital training center leader. And this lead is supported by an advisory committee, which gives advice on the technical profile of doctoral training centers. The business partnership, specific doctoral training center activities, doctoral candidates admission and examination. And doctoral training center are located in or next to the digital co-location center. There is also such a structure, but at the moment we will not focus on these co-located centers, and work in close cooperation with the center for innovation network. And because this training organized by our partner University of Helsinki, I decided to stop on the and demonstrate the training center, doctoral training center of this EIT doctoral school, which exists in Helsinki. So Helsinki Doctoral Training Center offers PhD candidates the opportunity to combine technical research and studies with business-oriented entrepreneurial training and experience. Also, these doctoral training centers working within the doctoral training, digital doctoral schools aims and skilling the future leaders with deep and specific technical knowledge and skills, as well as a broad understanding of innovation, business, and entrepreneurship. This doctoral training center located in an open innovation house at the Aalto University campus, and it's a great place for interact with the flourishing startup ecosystem, as well with the top-notch industry and research institutions. I would like to say that within the project, we have opportunity due to our subcontracting to involve the representative of one or another doctoral training center of the doctoral training schools to present their experience on working and in such a networking environment, and their networking environment and they practice, from my point of view, we have to take into account for further development of doctoral training centers and platform for networking and some other our activity. So have I finished or not yet?
You have actually 1 minute, and it would be nice if you could give just a brief idea about the needs from Moscow Physics Institute for doctoral training centers very quickly.
Yes, unfortunately, it will take time to load the presentation.
You can just orally do this.
Orally, I can say that we are at the moment thinking about minimum 3 doctoral, about creating of 3 doctoral training centers. One of them focusing on transferable skills based on the our center for language skills. There are some ideas why we have to focus and to join all transferable skills in one place. The second one, as I already mentioned during the presentation, doctoral training centers, professional doctoral center on photonics and double dimension materials. We have a good example of how this center working at the University of Manchester. And also the third one, this doctoral training center focusing on biotechnologies. Unfortunately, I couldn't see today our vice director of FISTEC School of Biotechnology, but we discussed it, and as one of the perspective direction of research development at MIPT. So we expected that transferable skills will be available for all PhD students at MIPT, because it's important for all students for their future career and their successful research work. So about the professional doctoral training centers, we also thinking, first of all, develop module and courses for our international students for some reasons. Maybe I will explain it more later. And we expected about 10 or 20 students at each for each doctoral training, professional doctoral training centers.
Thank you very much.